But without a clear policy signal from the government of Uganda on the issues of agriculture and investment, you find that you'll be sending very different messages, and often the things that only governments can do are not in place, and whatever else you do at the community level will only fall short of actually linking the people in rural communities with where the world is going in terms of consumption of the products that they have in their societies. In the government of Uganda plan for eradication of poverty, it commits government to do the overriding priority of tackling poverty directly and indirectly through increasing the quality of life of the poor. Poverty eradication is to be realized through the implementation of key priorities, which fall under 5 pillars: economic empowerment, enhancing production, competitiveness and incomes, security, conflict resolution and disaster management, good governance, and human development. Some of you will know that the northern part of Uganda has been grappling with a 20-year-old conflict, and that is the most fertile part of Uganda. And although the government of Uganda, working together with the African Union, the international community, has made strides to trying to address the issue of northern Uganda, we still find that the actual peace agreement has not been signed. Now, that may still remain outside the control of the government because they are dealing with a rebel who's now operating in the Central African Republic, but the issue of conflict has an impact on the country's productivity, particularly in agriculture, as northern Uganda remains one of the most productive areas, and that potential is still largely untapped. The population that was displaced during the conflict of about 3 million people is now just moving back to the communities which were theirs 20 years ago, and they will need to re-engage with production. They will need the support. They will need to mechanize agriculture so that they can catch up with the rest of the world. The plan for modernization of agriculture, which was launched in 2000, is a component of the poverty eradication program that seeks to address poverty through agricultural transformation. Modernizing agriculture is expected to contribute to increasing incomes of the poor by raising farm productivity and increasing the share of agricultural production that is marketed and creating on-farm and off-farm employment. The poverty focus of the plan for modernization of agriculture is based on poor people's perspectives, which were derived from the Uganda Participatory Poverty Assessment Project. The plan for modernization of agriculture has 7 public expenditure intervention areas that will lead to poverty reduction and a more productive and commercial agriculture sector. Having lived in Zimbabwe, which has had huge commercial farms where the production of the country, particularly of tobacco and some of the export crops, I was surprised when I went into Uganda at the fact that most of the production is relied heavily on small land holdings owned by individual farmers. But with the agricultural potential that Uganda has, and with the 2 rain seasons that Uganda enjoys, if agriculture was modernized, they could produce a lot more than they're managing to produce. In order to modernize agriculture, the Ugandan government needs to invest in research and technology development, agricultural advisory services and rural finance, agro-processing and marketing, agricultural education, sustainable natural resource management, and supportive physical infrastructure. Some of you would know that Uganda has had a challenge where, unfortunately, the government has somehow sold off some of the natural resource areas. And a few years ago, there was actually a conflict that nearly broke out around the Kabira forest, which the government was about to sell off to some investors. So Uganda is one of those countries that has to combine modernization of its agricultural sector with a comprehensive policy on the management of its natural resource, because you can see how the climate has an impact on agriculture, which remains largely rain-fed. And I don't think with where the levels of water in Lake Victoria are going, they're going to be able to irrigate. So they do need to have a comprehensive framework of policy that manages its natural resources, its forests, its swamps, so that they maintain the kind of rainfall that they can possibly maintain in light of climate change. The Rural Development Strategy adopted by Cabinet in 2005 seeks to increase rural household incomes through enhancement of productivity and production of key agricultural commodities and facilitating their efficient marketing. The Constitution of the Republic of Uganda requires that government develop plans and programs that ensure equitable socio-economic rights, including the right to adequate food and nutrition. The Ugandan government, within the framework of the Plan for Modernization of Agriculture and the Prosperity for All initiative, is in the process of implementing the comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program, and I'm aware that under investment in food security, that is one of the frameworks that the Australian government is going to be supporting. This provides an integrated framework for developing the rural development component under the National Development Plan, which is being formulated to replace other frameworks. The target objective includes attaining 6% agricultural growth by 2015, the allocation of at least 10% of budgetary resources to the agriculture sector by 2010. Uganda is a signatory to the Maputo Declaration on Agriculture and Food Security of July 2003, but unfortunately, although it has committed to increasing its budgetary allocation to 10%, it is still just at a meager 4% of the budget. Now, if you can see that a country that is dependent on agriculture is still just putting 6%, you wonder where the 94% is going, possibly to other ventures that are not likely to be widespread in their impact on the rural poor and on women, as the previous speaker highlighted. Food and livelihood security in Uganda. Food security is about ensuring that all people at all times have both physical and economic access to basic food, the food that they need. Despite enormous potential for food production, Uganda, like a number of African countries, continues to experience chronic and transitory food insecurity and malnutrition. And this is increasing even more at the onset and the impact of climate change. I've been in Uganda for 2 years now. In the first year, when I arrived in September 2007, World Vision was partnering with other agencies, including the World Food Programme, to respond to the impact of flooding in southeastern Uganda. In the current season, we are responding to the impact of drought in the same locality. And it is anticipated that the El Nino effect will have drought in this season and in the next flooding. So you can see already that a lot needs to be done in view of the fact that the country is highly dependent on agricultural production. While the Millennium Development Goals has set a target of having the number of hungry people by 2015, Uganda continues to face the problem of food insecurity. The proportion of the population unable to meet the recommended food calorific intake has increased from 58.7 in 1999 to 68.5 in 2006. This is the last time that the assessments were done.